Hey guys, you know how many things in life give you the same kind of rush when you drive a really fast car as getting some skin in a really tight game? It sounds great, right? Now that football is back in season, it's time for me to talk to you about MyBookie, the sponsor of today's video. MyBookie.ag is the place to get in on all the action this football season. Their easy to use, brand new mobile site allows you to place bets from anywhere. The games are twice as exciting with some skin in them, and when you win, you get paid fast. MyBookie has live in-game betting on every NFL game. They've got the most rewarding player perks in the business, and for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet the over-under on how many fantasy points a player will score each game. Plus, if you deposit with promo code SMOKING, MyBookie will double your first deposit up to $1,000. With MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid. Make sure to click the link in the description and use promo code SMOKING to double your first deposit up to $1,000. Bet, win, get paid. Hit that link. Now enjoy this video. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Angeles Forest. It's going to be a hot one, so I got out here nice and early, like 6:30 a.m. today. This is the 2019 Porsche 991.2 GT3 RS. This is the most track-focused, surgically precise, lightest, most downforcey 911 that you can buy. It is the purest, if it were, although maybe there's an argument that the base Carrera is the purest. But that being said, this thing has a 4-liter, 520 horsepower, naturally aspirated flat six. 4.0 is really like the woo number for these engines. 389 pound-feet of torque, but it revs to 9,000 RPM. And as I will demonstrate in this video, the difference between 7,000 and 9,000 is quite enormous. You've got 20-inch center locking forged wheels with Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, 265s in the front, 325s in the back. You've got the downforce from the big wing, the front splitter, the side skirts, the scoops, the fender arch things. You guys know about the GT3. I'm not telling you what a GT3 RS is. What I think you probably want to know is how I think a GT3 RS drives. So we're going to go PDK in Sport, manual shifting because it's more fun, even though PDK is very smart. And here we go. Shout out to Dillons Optics, my sunglass sponsor. They came out with a new model, these sort of surfer style things they called the Rider. Hit the link in the description. I'll give you a free t-shirt if you buy a pair. About the GT3 RS. It's big. It feels bigger than 911s in the past. As someone who owns an 87, it feels way bigger than that. But it's still nimble, agile, and compared to the other cars in the world that are also aging, it's not that huge. You do get an unbelievable amount of cabin space. If you're tall, if you're wide, or if you have long legs, chances are 911s are right for you. GT3 RS only comes in PDK, which makes some of you sad, but as the track-focused version, you can understand why somebody would care about lap times more so than the fun of shifting a 6-speed, which is why the GT3 Touring exists. Pedal feel, steering feel in this car, both aces. You get electric power steering, but it's pretty much the best one on the market. It's razor sharp. They've removed all the buttons off the steering wheel, so you can focus on nothing at all but steering. And it's just point, but not point and shoot. It's point and fucking laser sight target. The engine just sounds amazing. This is even in comparison to the Ferrari V12s, which I've had recent experience with. most precise technical powertrain. That was 9. It takes a lot to get to 9. A lot of oncoming this morning. This road is used as a commuter road in the morning, going the other way. That's why we're going this way, and we're going to turn off onto the better road. But let's check the tunnel. Second gear from 5. Woo! You know what I love about this car? It sounds just like the race car. I mean, if you've ever gone to see 24 Hours of Daytona or seen the 911 race cars race, that's what it sounds like. It's such a link to that motorsport experience. I mean, this car looks, feels, and sounds a whole lot like the race car, except you can drive it on the street in relative comfort. Auto is great, and it's calm, it's casual cyclist, but it's stiff. It's the RS, so this road here is beautifully smooth, so our ride is great. It's not really set up for driving in the city. It beats you up a little bit. For that, the Carrera T or the GT3 Touring for an enthusiast-oriented street car. This is a weekend special. It's not the daily driver. Just don't end. It's 3,153 pounds, so it's really light. I mean, 520 horsepower NA in 3,150 pounds is extraordinary. This is a reasonably low spec version of the car. It's not loaded up with a bunch of silly options, so it's right around 200K. Base price is 187. You can get them up to like 250, 260. Yikes. I'll tell you what, even with, quote, only 520 horsepower, and even without, you know, the turbo shove that gives you that, whoa, even without that, this thing is crazy fast. Like you can go pretty quick shifting between 3 and 6, right? Like normal sport driving. But if you try and drive this and really make a concerted effort to keep the engine between 7 and 9, you are hauling balls. And you've got to really lean on the brakes and the aero and the stability too. So speaking of that, Jesus. So on top of the wing and the visible aero stuff, you also have the 4-wheel steering system, which is brilliant because in the very tight hairpins or U-turns or parking lots, it tightens your wheelbase, seemingly allows you to make really tight radius turns, which frankly I love for street driving. I can like whip around and parallel park like nothing. Out here in the canyons, when you're mobbing, what it does is it turns those rear wheels in unison with the front wheels to simulate the extension of your wheelbase, and it works because this car is incredibly stable at high speed. Giant ceramic brakes, 380 millimeter in the front, big 6-piston monoblock. They work. Although my friend Nick tracks his GT3 RS all the time, and he switched them out for steels for maintenance. Ease of maintenance. This engine is all about, I mean, it's a lovely engine all the time, but it's all about what happens between 7 and 9. Unbelievable. Now, the steering is so precise, and you do have a 265 tire in the front, so you can get darted around a little bit, especially because it's firm. And so if you're loaded up in a corner and there's some bumps, that can affect your hand position, which in turn can affect what the front wheels are doing. So that's something to be conscious of, and in the, quote, lesser 911s, it's actually less of an issue. But on this one, the wheels and tires are so wide that there's really no way around it. On a smooth racetrack, it's not going to be a big deal, but what do you think? Is this guy going to want to let me by? What do you think? Is he going to be nice, or is he going to be the guy? What are we thinking? While we're stuck and unsure, comfort-wise, thank you, sir or ma'am. Comfort-wise, the buckets are really good. They have a little more lumbar than some of the other carbon buckets I've used. The angle's right, and I got tons of leg room because there's nothing up front. It's also got a pretty big trunk. My big one-take case fits in the trunk, which I love, making it very practical. Probably run this whole Canyon in third gear and still be going pretty quick, because third has got all the revs. So PDK in the Ferrari video from last week, and I'm not drawing a direct comparison with Ferrari here, so don't get me wrong, it's just on my mind. I talked about how PDK is your personal robot that does exactly the right thing exactly when you tell it to. Whereas the Italians, it's like having a friend doing it for you. It's close enough that you can call it great and an expert at his craft, but just different enough to call it handmade, right? What I love about Porsche is whether you're on the power, on the brakes, in a corner, coasting, doesn't matter. Automatic mode, manual mode, doesn't matter. Your ass cannot feel the shift. It can't. Your ear hears it. Your hands may have initiated it, you know it happened, but you don't feel it. And it doesn't matter if you're caning it or creeping along in traffic. For instance, to make that Ferrari I just had, the 812, and other cars, are very fast, snappy, rip these shifts right off when you're going. But in traffic, they can be a little inconsistent. When you're not in the revs and they're not loaded up, they can be a little inconsistent. Not PDK. PDK is exactly the same every time. And while I can appreciate the Italian flair of their gearbox and some other gearboxes, the fact that I can change gear confidently whenever and wherever without feeling a buck is absolutely extraordinary. I'm not kidding. It's hard to get this thing to 9. If you want to run this motor to 9 on the street, you have to consciously go, don't shift, run it to 9, run it to 9. There's 9. That's the first time I hit the rev limiter. Changes are so good, so impressive, and the amount of speed you can carry, both from the downforce, the four-wheel steering, just ripping off those shifts. I mean, you're talking about a 520 horsepower car that Porsche says will do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. To me, without turbos, without, all-wheel drive, to rip off a number like that is an expert use of gear changes, grip, weight distribution, and efficiencies. These cars do not have a lot of drivetrain loss. That power gets to the ground, man. Here it's so agile, and you can carry all of this speed because the front end is so communicative. Woo! Well, there you go, folks. That's some gravel. Oh, sticky tires. That is the 911 GT3 RS, and I've chosen to drive this car at this specific time for a reason. You see, next week I'm going to Germany to drive the 992 Carrera S, so I wanted to calibrate my barometer, or whatever you call it, my carometer. I wanted to calibrate it with the sharpest, rawest of the outgoing generation. So these cars are absolutely extraordinary. As usual, my recommendation is to go light on the options, because you get all the value out of the car by getting a relatively low option car. No extended leather, no matched vents, none of that stuff. When I drive this, I'm not like, well, this one doesn't have matched leather. Like, no, I'm like, this is amazing. So thank you to Porsche for letting me have this car for a week. Thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you guys pretty soon, hopefully with a 992 Carrera S review. Bye.